Mega Mike the Movie Man, and today got a mega movie plan. Today I'm back with another mega video for you all. Today I'm going to be doing a ranking list of all the live action standalone Batman movies from 1989 and onward. So I have 8 movies to go through. We're going to rank them from the worst to the best. Now this is just my personal list, so let me know in the comments below how would you rank these movies, because I know our lists are going to look completely different and I'm really curious to see everybody's thoughts out there. So without further ado, let's get started.
My name is Freeze. Learn it well, for it's the chilling sound of your doom.
Alright, so at this spot, we're gonna have to put Batman and Robin. I mean, was there any doubt here? This is a big, giant toy commercial. It is just way too cheesy and silly, and you think it's a movie just made for kids, but then you get all those bat nipple and bat butt shots, and you're like, wait, where are they going with this movie? And it's just all over the place, completely a giant miss of a film, and it had some decent potential there. They have great actors in these movies. I know the actors in Batman and Robin could have done a great job if they were given more to work with a better script and overall story, but we just get a mindless goon in Bane, we get Poison Ivy and Mr. Freeze just way over the top, and too many ice puns from Mr. Freeze. I mean, there has to be a limit there, just goes way too much into it, and so just overall, not a very well put together movie, which means it gets less entertaining every time I watch this one.
Riddle me this, riddle me that. Who's afraid of the big black bat?
Next up, we got Batman Forever, and just like the previous movie, this movie gets worse and worse every time I watch it, even though I did enjoy it as a kid. Now, this movie had some decent elements here and also had some potential. Val Kilmer is actually a pretty good Bruce Wayne, and he's a decent Batman. And then we had potential with the villains as well. Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones are great actors, but unfortunately, Jim Carrey is just being Jim Carrey in this movie, not being the Riddler. And then you got Tommy Lee Jones doing this over-the-top impersonation, being more like the Joker than Two-Face. And if he played Two-Face serious, just as a crime boss, that could have been a lot more interesting. So the villains were just a complete missed opportunity here. And then you have Dr. Chase Meridian, that's all over Batman to a creepy extent. And then they bring Robin into this movie, which could have been a cool idea, but it's like an older adult Robin, and you're like, why is Bruce Wayne adulting this adult? Like, isn't he old enough to live on his own by now? And so just a sloppy, put together movie, and you could have had something cool with kind of exploring the trauma that Bruce Wayne went through and really focusing on the psychology of that. We got glimpses of that in this movie, and I heard this movie was supposed to be longer, so that could have been fleshed out a lot more, but unfortunately we just don't get enough of it, so this movie just isn't that great and gets worse every time I see it.
I've been down here too long. It's time for me to ascend.
Next, we got Batman Returns, and I actually have a pretty decent time with this movie. I do like the style of this movie, even though it does go a little bit too much Tim Burton, because it gets really wacky at some scenes. But overall, I do like the look of this movie. I do like it taking place in the winter time during the Christmas season. So that's a really cool idea. Also, I think the casting is awesome in this movie. You got Michael Keaton back as Batman. You have Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman, and she is great as Catwoman. You have Danny DeVito playing the Penguin, and who else during that time could fit the Penguin so perfectly? No one. Danny DeVito was an awesome choice. And even Christopher Walken as Max Schreck, I think is pretty decent in the movie. However, unfortunately, there are just two really over the top wacky moments in this movie, like when Penguin's in the little arcade Batmobile car. Like, where did that come out of? That just came out of nowhere. When he like bites someone's nose, it's just way over to the top. Catwoman licking herself, like too much acting like a cat there. And then once you get towards the end, it kind of falls apart, and then you have all these penguins that are trying to destroy Gotham City, and that just gets too kind of silly at the end there. And so this movie does kind of go off the rails at some points, but overall, I do think it's a decent film, and the score is amazing here. So at least just to listen to the movie and just to see the movie visually, I think is actually a pretty good time.
I've been trying to reach you. Find the God!
Next up, we got a big surprise here for some of y'all. I'm gonna have to put the Batman here, unfortunately. I know I'm gonna hear it in the comments. I like the Batman. Trust me, I did like it. I just did not love the Batman. To me, there were just some things that brought it down. And I will go into a full-on video of this later, giving you more details of how I would fix the Batman. But just to kind of mention some of these elements here, I did not like the portrayal of Bruce Wayne. To me, he's not that suave billionaire that he should be. Yeah, I know it's here too, but he just seemed like kind of an emo kid in his room all day. Also, the lighting, I want some more day scenes in there. Yeah, you can have the night scenes as Batman, but give me some day scenes with Bruce Wayne as well. Just not enough of that in this movie. And then to me, the villains just weren't theatrical enough. They were just missing a couple elements to make me go ahead and say, wow, these are super villains. Yeah, I'm like looking at them, hey, these are bad guys. But are they super villains? I just didn't get that wow factor from them, unfortunately. So it's just things like that that just brought it down, and the lack of action. I needed more action in a movie like this for the long runtime it had. I mean, if you're going to do a 3-hour movie, you better be pumping some good action scenes throughout the movie. And there's a few in here, but just not enough for me to justify that long runtime. So that's why I had to put it kind of in the middle here. Still a good, solid film, still accomplished what it was doing as a detective noir story, just not my personal preference of taste of what I really love in superhero movies, unfortunately.
You look fine.
I didn't ask.
Next up, we got to talk about Batman 1989, and I still really like this movie. To me, it still holds up to today. We get Jack Nicholson as the Joker, and he is definitely the star of the show in this movie. He is so entertaining and has a really good portrayal of the Joker. And to me, it's just like he is the Joker, and he's very entertaining, but also scary and creepy at moments. And they give him a good backstory in this movie, so I think he just works perfectly in this movie. Also, we get introduced to an amazing score. I mean, that Batman score is so memorable even to today. One of the best superhero scores of all time. And then Michael Keaton as Batman does a great job as well. And I do buy him as Bruce Wayne, so that all works. And just overall, I think it's a solid story. I have a lot of fun with it. To me, it's entertaining throughout. And all those great quotable lines all those main characters have in the movie are just so memorable. So to me, this movie is just a lot of fun, and I always enjoy it. So I actually really like this one. That's why I have to put it at this spot.
Tell us, Mr. Wayne. What do you fear?
Next up, we got to talk about Batman Begins. Yes, I think this is the best origin story for any superhero of all time. Yes, I know those are big words to say, but how this movie is set up and all the backstory it gives to the Bruce Wayne character and how it shows him training with Ra's al Ghul and the League of Shadows. I mean, that is just so powerful and great to see. And this movie just has awesome actors in it. Liam Neeson as Ra's al Ghul is just solid in here. You got Bruce Wayne played by Christian Bale. And I think Christian Bale does a really good Bruce Wayne, and he does a pretty good Batman. So just to see kind of how he develops as a new superhero in this movie and all his gadgets. I mean, the gadgets are wonderful in this movie. We get introduced to the Bat Tumbler in here, and now that's a vehicle. And so this movie has a lot of good action scenes, and I think it's just a fun time overall. Now, this movie isn't perfect. Don't get me wrong. I don't think this movie is like amazing because there are some things that do bring it down for me. For example, Scarecrow, I do like the actor for Scarecrow. I just don't like the way the Scarecrow looks. Not enough comic-y and theatrical enough for me. Kind of just throw a potato bag on his head. So I don't like the way he looks. Also, when we get kind of towards the end of the movie with how water starts to evaporate throughout the city, you kind of left wondering like, when did the water and people evaporate too, and when did that just explode them? So maybe that's a plot hole, right? So this movie isn't perfect, and especially how Batman just lets Ra's al Ghul die. I mean, that's kind of anticlimactic. And so, yeah, there's a couple things that do pile up there towards the end that aren't the best. But this movie is made a lot better by The Dark Knight Rises. So how it connects to that movie, I think this movie is a perfect setup to this trilogy. So I have to put it at this level. A really good movie.
Evening, Commissioner. Why so serious?
Now we get into a masterpiece of a movie with The Dark Knight. And this is my second favorite film of all time. To me, this movie is just so well done. From the beginning opening, it's just so intense and it gets you into the movie right away. An amazing score for this movie. But Heath Ledger as the Joker is just so perfect. I mean, to me, this is my Joker here. He is just perfect, and how scary he is, and how he's an agent of chaos, and just how they explain his philosophy of adding all this chaos to the city because he can. I mean, it is just some terrifying, intriguing stuff in this movie. And then how they set up Harvey Dent to be kind of the White Knight, but then gets breaking down to that supervillain level and becomes Two-Face. I mean, those are some emotionally impactful scenes to see how that does happen. So I do enjoy Two-Face in this movie. And then just overall, just a very entertaining movie. A lot of great action with Batman in this one, a lot of intense moments. It's basically a crime drama. It's like The Godfather of the Batman movies. And so it's just very entertaining throughout. To me, there's not really a dull moment in this movie. So to me, this movie is just wonderful and it's great every time I watch it. And to me, it's just such a good Batman movie because you see how just Batman gets torn down in this one and kind of how the villains actually win at the end. I mean, Joker wins even though he gets captured. He's able to create Two-Face, and that just crushes Batman, and you see that really actually Joker wins even though they cover it up at the end. So to me, that's just very entertaining for a sequel to do, kind of like a Empire Strikes Back of the Batman movie. So definitely amazing movie.
What are you?
I'm Gotham's Reckoning.
Now my absolutely favorite Batman movie and favorite movie of all time is gonna be The Dark Knight Rises. Now this movie is very close with The Dark Knight in my opinion, but reason why I give the edge to The Dark Knight Rises is I like the Bruce Wayne Batman character arc more in this movie. I think it's more fulfilled because you get to see how Batman Bruce Wayne gets breaking down. He gets put into a cave and he's in the worst of circumstances, but then he learns how to embrace fear again and he rises out of the cave like a phoenix. And to me, when they're chanting the Rise song, it's like so powerful. I don't know exactly what they're saying, but it is powerful. And so that moment just gives you so much hope for Gotham City and the Batman character. And Bane is awesome in this movie. Bane is a really good supervillain for 90% of this movie. He's a physical threat, he's a strategic threat, he's a mental threat. I mean, just everything that can make him super powerful, Bane does in this movie. So 90% of it, he is just awesome when he's on screen. I just like how he talks. It's just very menacing to me. And he has a lot of good action sequences in this movie. I mean, every time he's throwing down with Batman, it's just so intense. Now, even though this is my favorite movie of all time, this is my favorite Batman movie, no, it is not perfect. Towards the end of the movie, I don't like how they just kind of discard Bane by Catwoman. I don't like how that happens. And then the Talia al Ghul reveal is really underwhelming, and it just wasn't that great. And you don't even have Talia al Ghul really face off with Batman, so it's like, what was the point of revealing that? And so, yeah, it does kind of lose a little bit there, but I do like overall how it does end up ending. It ends in a very hopeful and positive way. Bruce Wayne is able to move on and have a life. And so it gives you hope at the end. It gives you a joyful moment. So to me, this is just the complete package of what a superhero movie should be. Everything that I look for in a superhero movie, this movie has. Great characters, awesome heroes, awesome supervillains. You have a solid story, emotionally impactful story, great character development, awesome action scenes, and a great ending to tie up this entire trilogy, and very hopeful moments and a positive ending. Everything to me a true superhero movie should be. So to me, I have to put The Dark Knight Rises at the top as my personal preference for the best. So that will do it for my mega ranking list of all the live action standalone Batman movies from 1989 and onward. If you have not yet put your ranking list below, definitely go ahead and do that, and also respond to other people and what you thought of their list. Also, if you're just discovering me for the first time, make sure you subscribe right now. I'm going to get you tons of future movie rankings, movie reviews, movie news, movie haul videos. You name it, we'll cover all things movies on this channel. Also, turn on that notification bell so you don't miss when I post a video. Also, like the video. And this is Mega Mike the Movie Man, reminding you to make every day a movie day.